Well, hello again. A few things have been going on in the last week or the last 2 weeks. I was going to present David Grush as Norman, Well, I was a major in the Air Force, and this was shortly before I went crazy, and my wife called the police to drag me off to the nut house. Pentagon officials, apparently, according to Ross Coulthard, are saying that David Grush is delusional. That's probably why he's no longer employed by the military. Anyway, that's a bit of an aside. So, there was a UFO caucus to have a skiff briefing with Arrow next week. Well, that's I've been making these notes. They're not in any particular order, so I do apologise for that. I don't really have time to go through it all and editing. Yeah. But that happened yesterday, I believe. SCIF skiff. It should actually be SCIFI, sci-fi, I think. Sci-fi briefing. Tim Burchett attended this, and he said, well, he had trouble staying awake. There was nothing interesting there. It's all compartmentalised. A lot of it's classified. And of course, as I've said before, if you've got UAP entangled with ET, it's always going to be like that. You need to separate the two, because with UAP, there's always adversarial drones, adversarial intelligence gathering technology, the monitoring of which will be classified. Separate ET and UAP, and then get to the bottom of the ET bit, because you'll find there's nothing there. There's nothing classified about it, because there's nothing there. Ross Coulthard apparently was making something of Roswell PD. They've now got a patch with an alien on it, shoulder patch, Roswell PD with a little alien on it. That's a nothing thing, really. I mean, Roswell's been milking this crashed UFO, flying saucer, alien spacecraft nonsense for a very long time. All the lampposts have got alien heads on them. There's alien shops all over the place. They milk it for tourism, so why wouldn't Roswell PD have a patch with a little grey alien head on it, Excuse me. Danny Sheehan has been teasing Lou Elizondo's book. Apparently, he's saying that Lou's told him he's touched an alien craft. Now, you've got to be very careful with the wording on this, because he doesn't say that he's touched an extraterrestrial spacecraft. He said he's touched an alien craft. A friend of mine went to live in America some years ago. Got his residency, and it had his green card, which was beige, like a credit card, had on it resident alien. So anybody born outside of the United States is considered an alien by the American government. Any recovered technology from an adversarial country, if he's touched a MiG, then he's touched an alien craft. He's not saying spacecraft, he's saying craft. It's a very, very broad brushstroke, craft, isn't it? Boat could be a craft. Was he touched a captured Russian drone, or something out in the ocean that was belonged to a foreign military, and he's touched it. So Lou Elizondo touching an alien craft is meaningless. Hype for the book. Oh, and apparently Danny Sheehan is now saying that Grush has first-hand experience with ET materials. See how these stories get more and more embellished over time. The way I heard it, Grush was told, when he was in the military, Grush was told there was this ET recovery stuff going on, told by Eric Davis, someone that's been peddling this forever. Someone that's never produced any evidence of this. Somebody told Tom DeLonge that he could build him an interstellar spacecraft. Where's that? Where's all the money? So Eric Davis told David Grush to read the New York Times 2017 article. You know, the one written by Leslie Keane, the one where she says she left a large chunk of it out because she wanted to steer people in the direction of ET. And David Grush has swallowed this hook, line and sinker, dived headfirst in. He's had sort of mental health issues. He's been sectioned, I believe, which means involuntarily taken to a mental health facility. And he's the one that's saying now. Now he's saying, "Oh well, actually, I did touch an alien spacecraft." You know, these people fall into this, and they get delusional. They say, "Yeah, I'm in it. I know all about it. You don't. You know, I can't tell. It's all classified. But take my word for it. You know, I've had tea and chocky digestives with Percy and Mabel from the Pleiades." They come around every Wednesday afternoon. Of course, I can't show you. There's no selfies, you know. I can't get you round one Wednesday afternoon so you can see them land and, you know, come over. Can't do that. Lou Elizondo says a senior official at the Pentagon says lay off looking into this ET stuff because they're demons. They're demons. Angels and demons, for goodness sake, you know. I mean, how do these people get into these positions in the Pentagon? You know, but he believes they're demons. Is this the guy, is this Lukatsky, was it, that went to Skinwalker Ranch and then thought the demons followed him home and they were running around, scuttling around outside his house? Doesn't sound terribly demonic, does it, you know? You think a demon would be able to scuttle around inside his lounge room, inside his bedroom. Not kick the garbage cans over. So I keep looking at the viewfinder instead of at the screen, at the camera lens. How does somebody that believes in demons get to a high-ranking position within the Pentagon? It doesn't make any sense, does it? Do you believe in demons? Have you ever seen a demon? I mean, you get these nutters, you know, that go around killing people. Well, it wasn't me. It was the demon inside me. I was possessed, you know. And it's a cop-out, isn't it? There's no such thing as demons. So that's the sort of stuff we're going to get in Lou Elizondo's book, Save Your Money. You know, I was told to lay off. Because people always say, when people say I was told to shut up, not talk about it, they say, who by? Well, my boss, you know, he said, lay off, the demons. It's demonic. Complete and utter rubbish. Absolute rubbish. What else we got? Senator Kelly says the most likely explanation for these things buzzing American military facilities is adversarial drones. And they have actually recovered some adversarial terrestrial drones. That's Senator Kelly. Remember Senator Reid, before he died, said they know it's the Russians. It's Vlad. Big headline in the independent newspaper. It's Vlad. They know they're Russian drones. And James Fox. I think James Fox might watch my videos. Hello, Jimbo, if you're watching. James Fox said he's got a video. Someone relating their ET experience. You know, their interactions with aliens, and it's not an April Fool's joke. So that makes me think he might have seen my April Fool's joke video, which I think is as convincing as any I've ever heard, probably more so. And there was someone talking about working in Antarctica, and I've come close to that myself a couple of times, but never actually followed it through. Now, what he said was they've got an earthquake machine in Antarctica. Now, he was a plumber or some sort of tradesman for Raytheon. He said they've got an earthquake machine. And he said Biden warned Turkey if they didn't toe the line, they were going to get an earthquake. They didn't toe the line, they got an earthquake. And he showed a clip. I was watching a podcast. I can't remember who it was. Showed a podcast where the guy says to his assistant, you know, just like Joe Rogan does, can you find that thing with Biden, you know? Because initially when he said that, the claimant, he said, yeah, Biden warned Turkey, you know, and it showed Biden going like that. There's no sound. We couldn't hear what he said. And then the assistant comes back and says, no, he can't find any evidence that Biden warned Turkey that they were going to get an earthquake. What a surprise, you know. I bet this guy's got a book as well. I bet he's got a book coming out. And he said Antarctica really is it's a secret nuclear missile base. Now, have you ever heard anything quite so ridiculous? Antarctica is far too far from anywhere to be a practical missile base. It's rubbish, absolute rubbish, nonsense, ludicrous. Now, what I think he might be doing here is he's probably got a book for sale, I suspect, and he's mixing this up with something called Project Iceworm. Now, Project Iceworm was a real project. I might leave a link to it below, actually. Now, I think it was back in the 50s or 60s, during the Cold War anyway. The Americans said they were going to set up a scientific base in Greenland, right at the top end of Greenland. Okay, they dug all these trenches and they put covers over them and then covered it all over with snow. They powered it. They took a nuclear reactor out there, 2 megawatt nuclear reactor, to power this underground research establishment, they called it. But what they were actually going to do was put 600 nuclear missiles under the ice, okay, that could be moved out of these trenches. They're all underground. You couldn't see anything. This is a real thing. This is not science fiction rubbish. I'll leave a link to something relating to Project Iceworm below so you can have a look at it for yourself. It sounds terribly fanciful, but this is true. And I think what he's doing, Project Iceworm failed because the ice kept shifting. So they recovered the nuclear reactor and a load of the other stuff and closed it down. I think it was about 150 miles north of the Thule USAF base in Greenland. But what he's doing is he's mixing up Antarctica, it's cold and snowy, you know, with Greenland, which is cold and snowy, so it looks the same. I'm surprised he might even have some Project Iceworm photos if he's got a book. Yeah, Project Iceworm, real. Missiles in Antarctica, earthquake machine in Antarctica, complete and utter rubbish. Absolute rubbish. Simon Holland was going on about the Condign report. Says UAPs exist. Well, they do. It does, rather. But it also says there's no evidence that any of it is extraterrestrial. You know, as I've said before, separate UAPs from ETs. Separate UAPs from ETs. Stuff flying around in the sky, you know. You see an unidentified flying object, a UAP. It's real, you can see it, you know. It doesn't mean it's an alien spacecraft. You know, it's not going to be an alien spacecraft. They're not going to come all this way, you know, fly around and then go home. It's too far. Oh, I see Simon Holland has changed the name of his channel. It's not Professor anymore, it's Prof. We'll just get rid of those last 4 letters. I can't bring myself to call him Prof or Professor. I think that's very cheeky. It sort of suggests credibility, you know, because he looks the part. He's a professor. Oh yeah, if he says that, it must be true. When in fact he's not a professor, and most of what he puts out is complete rubbish. The first time I watched his channel, I thought, this is complete and utter nonsense. What's this guy a professor of? Origami? And of course I looked into it, and he's not a professor at all, which explains everything, I suppose, really. Or he could be a professor of, I don't know, English lit. You know, he's still not going to be able to present anything meaningful about, you know, what he's doing, lasers and science and radio and all that sort of stuff, because he's not going to have a clue about it. So, yeah, very cheeky, that title, that self-appointed title, very cheeky. So, the Condign report, yes, they looked into it, DI-55 looked into it, some trusted defence contractors looked into it, and there's nothing extraterrestrial related to UAPs over the UK. And that includes Rendlesham. So no evidence. They're talking about this buoyant plasma. Some of these UFOs may be buoyant plasma. Now, that's an interesting one. So I don't know whether buoyant plasma occurs in nature. I suppose it's possible when you think about the sort of voltages that you get in the clouds and all this sort of stuff. You know, when you consider what sort of voltage you're going to need to go from the clouds, how many, you know, hundreds of feet above the ground down to the ground, with lightning strikes and what have you. You know, there's going to be lots of voltage in the clouds. So, yeah, need a what do you need? Some sort of weather physicist, whatever they might be called, to look into that one. I did look at. I was watching that UFOs in Alaska. I think I've mentioned this before. You know, people go, "Oh yeah, it was there." You know, then it was there. Then it was there. There. You know, like you might play with a cat. You know, with a laser pointer, and the cat's up on the wall. And they were down the bottom of Alaska, not far from HAARP. And of course HAARP squirts a beam up there, heats up the ionosphere, creates a plasma, moves over there, does the same thing, moves over there, does the same thing. But just like putting a laser pointer on the clouds effectively. But it does it with the ionosphere. It heats up the ionosphere. And the plasmas created by HAARP are visible. So I suspect that a lot of these UFO reports around Alaska are, in fact, plasmas generated by HAARP. Okay, so apparently Bob Bigelow is no longer looking for nuts and bolts spacecraft. I suppose the fact that he sold Skinwalker Ranch was a bit of a giveaway in that regard. Even though he says aliens are right under our noses. Okay, well, I'm going to need an entry fee from you, you little grey bugger. Have you ever seen an alien under your nose? I can't say I have. Bob Bigelow, aliens are right under our noses. Well, should be easy for you to produce one, Bob. Let's take a look at it and see if it meets any descriptions we've heard so far. Complete rubbish, of course. He's given up with that, and now he's looking at conscious, psychic, you know, psychic connections with aliens, consciousness connections with aliens. Of course, anything can be claimed in that regard because none of it, there's not going to be evidence for any of it. You can't, you know, I couldn't prove to you that I could well, I suppose I could actually, couldn't I? I could remote view your lounge room because I could, if I could do that, I could describe it in detail, couldn't I? And no one's done that for me. Even though I've given 2 or 3 snippets of what the inside of this place look like, and there's an open invitation for remote viewers to describe it. You know, describe the interior of this place. How many rooms? You know, not one remote viewer has taken me up on it. Simple challenge like that. There is nothing to remote viewing. I remember Lou Elizondo, who was only mentioned once in the Skinwalker Ranch book. The only thing he told the Lakatsky and all those other guys about was some war stories and how good he was at remote viewing. And it's nonsense, isn't it? There's no such thing. I'll tell you what, Lou, remote view, this gesture, I'm doing off screen. And you tell me what it is in the comments. What else have we got? Now, according to Zabel and Coulthard, Admiral Tim Goddard says multiple species are interacting with us. Yeah, okay. Now, this is the Admiral that did the... he's a weather expert, actually, isn't he? This Admiral. Retired Admiral. So he should know about buoyant plasma, if such a thing exists. He's saying multiple species are interacting with us. Now, this is another example, I think, of, you know, like at the beginning I said that someone at the Pentagon believes in demons. You know, how did someone get in that position? You've got an Admiral here that believes multiple species of aliens are interacting with us. Now, why would you believe that without tangible evidence to prove it? If multiple species are interacting with us, show us one. Show us some tangible evidence of that happening. This is the guy that gave the talk at the Soul Foundation, you know, the Gary Nolan thing. The shit out of luck foundation. They're going to be shit out of luck if they think they're going to be dealing with any extraterrestrial, technological or biological material. It's all science fiction rubbish. So this admiral, I think, is going to feel a real, well, more than a bit of a goose, you know, when this is all falls in a heap. This is where it's going. People are losing interest rapidly in this, you know. They've been saying, oh, all these people are coming forward, they're coming forward, you know. We're going to see the evidence, and no one's come forward. We haven't seen any evidence. Or we're getting science fiction stories. Exactly what Arrow tells us we get. You know, it's the same people telling the science fiction stories. There's no tangible evidence to support any of it. And I think the Admiral is going to feel a bit of a goose, if not a complete goose, when he finds out there is nothing to this. And he's just swallowed a lot of science fiction bullshit, hook, line and sinker, which is what's happened. Unless proven otherwise, with tangible evidence. I mean, that's an astonishing claim, an extraordinary claim, Admiral. We're interacting with multiple alien species. We need tangible evidence to back that up, or it's a science fiction story. Extraordinary claim, we need to see extraordinary evidence. We're not even seeing some very weak evidence. We're seeing no evidence at all, are we? Coulthard tells us, of course, that the witnesses are coming. They're clearing DOPSA and they're worried about their NDAs. And, you know, it's complete rubbish, of course, you know. I mean, clearing with DOPSA, if there was a top secret UFO program, are DOPSA going to let them talk about it? None of this makes any sense. NDAs, who's going to care about an NDA if they can get life-changing amounts of money, be the one person that will be remembered in history as the person that definitively showed we are not alone in the galaxy, in the universe. No one's going to give a damn about NDAs. Remember, Bob Lazar came forward for his own protection. David Grush came forward for his own protection. You know, when the interviewer asked him, why aren't these other witnesses coming forward? He said they fear for their lives. And she said, why have you come forward? And he said, for my own protection. These people must think we are as stupid as they are. They think well, I suppose there's a lot of people out there that do lap up this bloody rubbish. But anyone with an IQ above their shoe size doesn't believe any of it. He can't tell us where this... Oh, yeah, because Coulthard knows where this alien spacecraft is. Crashed outside the US, you know. Had to put a building over it to hide it. Couldn't move it. So initially it crashed, they had to put a building over it. Then it was outside the US and they had to put a building over it. You know, so the reasons that he can't tell us where it is, or we can't have a look at it and go and have a look at it, are changing all the time. Now, not only is it outside the US and has a building over it, it's a top secret military installation built over it. Does Coulthard really think we're stupid enough to believe this, you know? And he could easily tell us. He doesn't have to worry about NDAs or being in with any of these people, because once it's proven, it's proven. He doesn't need to be in with them, does he? Wants to string this out because him and Brazel, what's his name, that other fella? Zabel, they want to get paid lots of money to research this and stretch it out, fly around the world and talk to people. You know, they don't want to prove it. One way or another, you know, because if they say, yes, it's an alien spacecraft, he's got nothing to research, has he? It has to be, is it possibly, you know, no, or alternatively, of course, no, it isn't, which is the case. You go there and it's not going to be an alien spacecraft. It's obvious, isn't it? As I've said before, one person, you know, take one person on one of these programs to come forward for a life-changing amount of money. They'd be remembered forever to break the story with tangible evidence. It has never happened. And it can't happen because there's no bloody evidence. There's no tangible evidence. It's all science fiction stories. So Coulthard's feeble, pathetic excuses with regard to not being able to tell us where this spacecraft is and why these witnesses haven't come forward are exactly that. Pathetic. Who might even consider that some of that could be true is beyond me, really. So lots of people thought, were getting interested in it, thought, yeah, it's coming, there might be something to this. Now they're going, oh, this is all science fiction rubbish, you know. Yeah, they're coming, yeah, right, yeah. Oh, they've got evidence, yeah, sure, you know. Well, wake me up when you've got some to show me. Wake me up when you've got some tangible evidence to show me. Now, Coulthard tells us there's a video clip of some drones over Langley Air Force Base. And, of course, you know, Coulthard's trying to talk up the ET part of it. You know, he's saying that drones have no obvious method of propulsion. Well, if you look at a video clip of a drone and there's not a soundtrack, there's no obvious methods of propulsion, is there? If you look at a drone and you're outside your house and it's too high for you to hear, there's no obvious method of propulsion, is there? The fact that this drone had flashing anti-collision lights on it. You think an alien spacecraft is going to have FAA-approved anti-collision lights? Again, it's ludicrous. You know, and something I've noticed, and I don't think this is coincidence, when they're getting these drones over these Air Force bases in America, these Air Force bases are invariably on the coast. When they get drones looking around the Navy ships, they're offshore, you know, in military exercise areas. It's all related to the ocean, you know. So I reckon it's going to be drones launched from, you know, adversarial submarines just to have a look around. Or, you know, if any of those Russian research ships, research vessels, like Yantar, I can't remember what the others are called, but Yantar and those sort of ships, if any of those are around, you know, we're not told whether they're around or not, but every time drones appear over an American Air Force base, that Air Force base is on the coast, and that lends itself, I think, very easily to drones launched from submarines just off the coast. Alien spacecraft aren't going to have anti-collision lights on them, you know, and the only people interested in looking around at military facilities are going to be adversarial militaries, the Chinese and the Russians. Aliens aren't going to give a damn about military bases on Earth. If aliens wanted to attack the planet, our military would be inconsequential. It couldn't do anything. Our military would not even know the aliens were going to take the planet, because the aliens would just turn up and spray something in the atmosphere, a bioweapon, and everyone would be dead in 3 days. No one would have time to find out what was going on, let alone figure out an antidote for it. They wouldn't come down and have a shooting war with us. They don't need to know what the military's capable of. Complete and utter rubbish. Tim Burchett apparently went to this classified UFO briefing yesterday, this SCIF, you know, the SCIF, that should be spelled SCIFI, sci-fi. Classified briefing was boring, he almost fell asleep, and there's no evidence of ETs. As I said at the beginning, separate ET from UAP. Get rid of the classified part of it, that's the UAP. Focus on the ET part of it, and we can put this to bed really quickly, because there'll be nothing there. And they're making a big thing about this Kona Blue program to recover and reverse engineer exotic technology. And of course, alien spacecraft would fall within that. They set it up because there'd be a lot of people in the Pentagon that are saying this is all real, you know, and they're still saying it today. They're not producing any evidence to show that it's real. But they're saying it's real. So they've said. So the Pentagon have said, okay, we'll set up this program to. We'll have something in place if we do recover extraterrestrial technology or other advanced aerial technology, so that we can reverse engineer it, we can analyse it, we can study it. Kona Blue was disbanded because they never got anything to analyse. They never got anything to reverse engineer, let alone an alien spacecraft. So forget Kona Blue. It's just something that sounds good, that these piffle peddlers are going to be, you know, mentioning, going to be pushing. So I think that is about it. So that's what's been going on over the last week, or the last couple of weeks, in the wonderful world of UFO, ET, piffle peddling, science fiction stories, people clutching at straws to keep this hogwash alive. And the sooner Burchett and co realise that what they need to do is to separate ET from UAP, get the classified stuff out of the equation, look at the ET stuff only, they'll be laughing. They'll get to the bottom of it very quickly, and there'll be nothing there. The cupboard will be bare. Get the main protagonists, Eric Davis, Hal Puthoff. Put up or shut up. Show us some tangible evidence, or admit that it's rubbish. It always has been rubbish. That's what needs to happen. All right, well, 3-day weekend for me this weekend. Well, hey. So I just thought I'd bang out a quick video before I go and get on with the day. So as always, if you struggled through the video all the way to this point, thank you very much indeed for watching, and maybe I'll catch you again.